Hello, everyone. We are so thrilled and excited. Look at what we have today. We've got a dynamic duo coming together to talk about such an important topic. And many of you have been hearing me talk about it, you've been hearing him talk about it, but I want to set it up real quick, right? We're going to be talking about empathy and how it meets innovation. You know, I'm big on leadership, and it's key and critical to align yourself with great leaders. And I hope that many of you can say you are that leader that engenders followers, that builds other leaders, and that knows how to demonstrate this important and significant skill called empathy. Well, we're going to talk about that because that has become one of the number one, or at least the top three skills that every leader needs in order to be effective in working across differences and working today in such a complex, disruptive workforce. We're going to talk about how leaders can leverage AI to humanize the workplace. We know that today, in this dynamic, fast-paced, and hyper-connected reality, empathy has become a real critical component for how we create a thriving workplace. And we want to talk to you today about empathic leaders, or some people say empathetic leaders, and talk about how important it is to connect with people, to ensure that we're checking in on them, that we're building the kinds of relationships that are substantive and not shallow. And how do we ensure that we are also building a really productive, high-performing workplace? Look, I could not be more thrilled because today I have an amazing leader who is poised to talk about this, right? Van Jones. I have been watching you, Van Jones, for years and years and years. I cannot imagine that I would be here with you today, but I'm so grateful that we've had the opportunity to work together over the last year. And I'm working as an advisor to help talk through this whole work around leadership and empathy, and now the collide of AI. Now, Van Jones is, he's a social entrepreneur, he's the CNN host, he's a political analyst, best-selling author, and founder of Dream Machine. Van Jones is a U.S. media personality, but he's also got a rare track record of bringing people together to do the hard things in areas like diversity, especially in areas that are really diverse, and clean energy solutions that we're going to talk a little bit more about too. He works in the criminal justice reform and racial inclusion in the tech sector. And in 2007, you might remember, he was primary champion of the Green Jobs Act, which was signed into law by George W. Bush. In 2009, he worked in the Obama White House as the special advisor for green jobs. And 2018, he helped pass the First Step Act, which is the New York Times calls the most substantial breakthrough in criminal justice in a generation. And you might know this, or maybe you don't. In 2001, Van Jones was the first recipient of Jeff Bezos. He gave out an award and a gift called the Courage and the Stability Award, and Van was the recipient of that. He's an Emmy Award-winning producer and a 3 times New York Times bestseller. I'm thrilled to welcome to the stage today, Van Jones. How are you, my friend?
First of all, I'm just honored to be here talking to you in public. We've been talking so much in private.
Yes.
Leadership change in a world where I think people are really hurting. I think people are hurting and uncertain. Is how I would put it. Juggling and struggling.
That's right, juggling and struggling. That's right. Thank you for being here. Let's talk real quickly first about just what you've been up to. I know you're out and about. There's so much going on. Just tell us kind of where you're going, where you've been, what you've been up to, and then we'll dive on deeper into this work.
Well, look, I still have my role at CNN. That's very important to me to get a chance to try and talk about the news of the day. But I'm really more concerned about the trajectory of society, not what's happening today, what's happening in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. What kind of society are we going to have? Yeah. And, my concern is that technology is actually playing a negative role all too often. A lot of apps are used to distract people or divide people at the very time when we need to be coming together more, because the problems are getting more serious. The geopolitical is tougher. The demographic changes are more confounding. The ecological changes are more threatening. So we have real serious stuff to deal with, And technology is actually making things worse because they get on social media, they come out madder and more divided. So
Yeah.
I decided, as you well know, that I want to use technology. I've used politics, I've used lawsuits, I've used protesting, I've used TV shows, I've used
Right.
podcasts. I'm out now saying, okay, what else can we do? How about technology? And so I work with some folks to launch something which you've been helpful advising called Rapport, which
Yeah.
is working to use AI to increase companies' EQ. Uh, AI to make people not just smarter when it comes to data, but smarter when it comes to people and the human heart. So that's the mission for Rapport. But it's a part of it's an extension of my long-term mission, trying to bring people together to do hard things.
Yeah. And empathy is one too, that as you heard me say, we've been talking about it more and more. And I've been in HR, human resources for over 30 years. And, empathy wasn't one of those that we were talking about throughout the years of a key critical leadership skill. We kind of have always focused on the technical and the functional expertise. And we're getting now more into some of what we call soft skills, but I think they're the hardest skills for leaders to demonstrate. But why empathy? Why is that such a critical component today?
Well, first of all, we're structurally now uh, disadvantaged
Yeah.
in caring about each other, knowing each other. A lot of our workplaces now are Zoom. It's Zoom, it's Slack, it's Teams. You're
Yep.
not walking past somebody in the cafeteria and seeing their shoulders slump. You're not noticing before the meeting started, they were frantically on their phone with their spouse. The things that you would have given you those cues to be, oh, well, maybe this person's having a bad day. Before I just smash on them about their late report, I
Yeah.
might put a little bit more love on it. No, boom, you're on Slack. Where's my stuff? You're on
That's
Zoom.
right.
And so suddenly now you need technology and a structure to help you be more empathetic, what rapport is about. But it just turns out a lot of the ways we've been taught to lead don't
Yeah.
work. We've been
Yeah.
taught to lead by talking more, not by listening more. You get
Mm.
the award for being the best speaker. You don't get the award for being the best listener. And yet, being able to listen, if you're going to deal with this world, I'm not talking about 1950s world
Today.
today, you might
Yeah.
have things around literally the other side of the world. Um,
Yeah.
colleagues who we've never had 4 generations. The boomers are still in the workplace right now. The
Yep.
like myself in the workplace, the millennials, and now Z. 4 generations all trying to work together on Zoom and Slack. You better expect chaos, havoc and miscommunication, and then develop yourself as a leader who can be that bridge builder. Develop
That's,
yourself as a leader who can listen to the person speaking, emotional Swahili and the person speaking emotional Mandarin and be that. That,
that's right.
that requires empathy.
It does. It's critical for a couple of more reasons, right? Because it helps build that trust and strong relationships between leaders and their workers. Even a study that was done by Business Solver just last year, 92% of employees said that showing empathy is an important way for employers to add to retention, right? And they also said research too, done by Center for Creative Leadership, also indicated that leaders who demonstrate empathy can improve overall performance. I'm working at it as well. And I think, empathy is not apathy and empathy is not sympathy. But I think what's important is for us as leaders to recognize that that's a skill we all have to develop. And gosh, over these last 4 or 5 years, have we not seen the need for it even more so? Can
Absolutely.
you tell us, Van, too, how you show up every day as an empathetic leader? How do you develop the skill set?
Well, sometimes I don't. And
Right.
and that's when everything goes bad.
Yes.
We all get in our own head. We're looking at these deadlines. We feel the financial pressure. We want to perform high, and then you're barking
Yeah.
more than actually relating, and you forget that other person. They're the star in their own movie. You're not the star in their movie. They're the star in their movie. You're
They
supporting
are. That's right.
colleague. They have their own journey they're going through, and so what I've discovered over time is that it's selfish to be empathetic. You're not just doing it for the other person, but you're
Yeah.
taking a lot of sand out the Vaseline. You're taking a lot of marbles off the sidewalk. You're literally making it more possible for things to happen well just by taking a breath, taking a step back,
Yeah.
diaphragm, get some oxygen in your body, and just ask the question, well, why do you feel that way? Or um, that sounds like it's hard. Even just saying something, well, that sounds like it's hard, can give the person the opportunity to express something that then once they express it, a lot of times they move on and perform even better. I think we feel from the old school, if you're too soft, then people are just gonna melt into butter. um, but there is a balance point.
Yeah.
So I have meditation practices. I've done a lot of therapy. I have a therapist and a coach to
No, that's right. Yes.
my stuff. Why should my employees and colleagues have to help me work on my stuff? Like I need to show them. So there's a lot to it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the technology is making it harder than it should. And as long as in a world where people designing technology have an off are focused on data and not wisdom, we're gonna have problems. And so that's
Yeah.
we're trying to fix that on the technology side.
Yeah, I was looking at just a couple of the comments from those who are in. I can't see how many are in, but there's a lot of comments going through. One says empathy can also build trust. Yes, we need active listening. People should listen to understand and not to judge or to punish. Listen with curiosity and reserve our own judgment. I love that. And then two, it's the onus on the leader. That was a question, right? I think sometimes we don't expect the same from our teams. We give it, but are we expecting it from our team? So thanks for some of those comments that are coming in. And you're talking about technology, Van, too. This is an age where AI and automation and digitization, like you said, is a disruptor. But you've been working to now bring those together to complement and to add greater value. So you started Rapport. Tell us a little bit more about Rapport and your dream and your vision for how it helps us as leaders be more empathetic.
Well, I'm very proud to be a founder of a technology company in the technology age. I was born at 68, so I'm in my 50s now. So people, you try to step back. I'm trying to step it up and do
That's
something.
great.
Try and do something that's a little bit more challenging. But here's what I know: when you start a Zoom call, you have no idea what the people who are clicking in are feeling.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're going through. You don't even know if they have pants on. You know what I mean? Like,
Look, Van, don't make me stand up. Oh, I'm just saying.
this might get X-rated. So,
Right.
so, but I mean, you think about that. You literally don't know,
Yeah.
and yet you're supposed to now go from 0 to 100 of being able to be effective together.
Yeah.
Hey, that's inhumane. And so the initial idea was just to build a widget that now lives. We have it integrated now, and it can live in Slack, it can live in Teams, it can live in Zoom. But the initial idea was just to make it possible for before you interact with someone, to be able to just for 30 seconds or even less answer 3 questions.
Yeah.
What is your energy level today? And
Mm-hmm.
like, one of 5 icons, one icon looks very, very tired, the other one looks very, very happy. Number two, what is your workload today? Is it light or is it really heavy? Different icons showing you somebody with a desk, like whatever. And then anything else that you want to know. My daughter's, my aunt just died. And then
Mm-hmm.
you click that, and the other person can see before the meeting even starts. Oh, this person's having a great day. Their energy level.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have a lot of work to do, and their kid just had a birthday. But this other person is going through hell. Now, in just that 30 seconds or less interaction, the whole meeting starts off with everybody better informed. This is in Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people say, man, I ain't gonna do that. First of all, people gonna lie. They're not gonna tell the truth because they don't want to get in trouble. They're scared they're gonna get in trouble. And what
Yeah.
we found out is actually the opposite. What we found out is that there's a pent up demand to share, that people actually feel quite lonely. And
Mm-hmm.
cheap check-ins we all do at the beginning of these Zoom calls, which either go too long or too short to be worthwhile, it's not cutting it. And so people actually, there's a pent up demand to share. But then this other thing emerged where we realized that we had solved a problem that people didn't even know was a problem, which is we now have, because people who are using rapport, their daily check with themselves, you now have an in real time pulse on your organization.
Yes.
You're not
Yeah.
where you're for a survey and trying to drive looking in the rearview mirror. You now have, as an organization, a real time pulse. Well, this department seems like they're doing well. This department seems like it's doing bad. The crazy thing was we had people reporting my workload is light. You would think it would lie. people,
I don't
people,
have anything to do, right?
people actually want to work more. They
Yeah.
want to share. And so, and we even had a situation within our own organization where someone had made a big mistake, frankly, a fireable mistake. I'm gonna be very,
Mhm.
and our CEO was going to get on the call and can him because it was really a bad mistake. But when they checked in through rapport, because we use our own product, the person said, I feel like I'm failing in every area of my life.
Wow.
So that rather than the CEO coming in, boom, boom, you're gone. What's going on? It turned out this person had some personal problems going on
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
our CEO just accidentally had the perfect answer solution, knew who to connect the person with. That person is now our best employee because
Excellent.
we weren't just stuck with little data points about who this person was. We were able to go one level deeper, and now we've got a fantastic employee. And this is happening with our other client companies as well. So the idea now we have other things that we're building as well. But just think about that. Just using a little widget with a couple of emojis, and you've deepened people's ability to work together in virtual space. That's the kind of stuff that we need to be rolling out in mass out of technology.
Yeah.
Human, now you're using AI to make the workplace more human, not to make it more robotic, not to make it more despotic,
Yep.
it more human. That's rapport. Our mission is to use AI to make the work more human, and I'm very excited about where we are.
I love that too, Van, because and I love the tool itself. I know we've been going through iterations of it, and you've been making it better and better, and clients are really liking it and seeing the opportunity to connect, right? And like you said, people are ready to share now. We are living in an age where, mental well-being and emotional well-being is key and critical. And just that check-in, you're right. People are working remotely and they're feeling isolated. We're focusing on, a greater level of connection and belonging. And this tool allows leaders to do it. And I would say too, not just leaders, people leaders, but it could be HR, it could be any other general leader, just to say, what's the pulse of everyone. We do employee and worker engagement surveys, but look, we only do it like once or twice a year. Your tool allows us to do this as often, whether it's daily or whether it's weekly, to check in. Can this tool also be used if we are in the office? Is it
Yeah,
only for just in a Zoom room or in the Teams meeting?
it can be used in any place. It's just we had it in mind for people who are working remotely. But it can be used by anybody. And the thing about it is, and people, we're talking about it. If people are interested, we can give you a free demo. That's
Yep.
available. I know we're going to get to that at the end, but I don't want to be teasing you with something that you feel like you can't get to. This is available now to any company who wants to deal with us. We're happy to do a free demo and see if you want. But um, here's a crazy thing that we learned. I mean, what I love about this process is discovery. When you're an entrepreneur, you think it's one thing and it winds up being something totally different.
Yep, that's right.
One of the things that has been so remarkable is empathy begins with self.
Duh. That's right.
It's, I think sometimes we make the bar too high where we want people, especially now you got four generations, all these different demographic groups. I want some, make it up. I'm 55, some 55-year-old straight white male, right?
Mhm.
Now this person has to supervise somebody who's a 23-year-old black lesbian on the other side of the country who he's never met.
Never.
Now you're saying you should have empathy for her. You should have empathy for her. He may not have empathy for himself.
Yeah.
My generation, we weren't taught to have empathy for ourselves. And so he may not have empathy for it with his spouse. So the great thing about rapport is the first thing you do is, how are you doing?
That's right.
Your energy level.
Hmm.
How is your workload? What do
Mhm.
you want to share? Now, the crazy thing is, we learned, this is all science backed now. We have Professor Coleman from Columbia, who's like a relationship scientist guru. He's on the team. Once you start having a little empathy for yourself, then when someone else speaks about their situation, you are completely different in your understanding and your receptivity.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I'm empathetic for you, but nobody gives a damn about me. And so that's the way we designed it, where first you check in with yourself,
Yeah.
then the person has made it exponentially. I mean, we're just, it's an amazing tool. It's
It
amazing.
is. And you know what else I love about it too is because, it also goes along with the work we're doing on not only inclusion and belonging and connection, but also about seeing me, right? This tool allows you to see me. Like we can hide behind the Zoom camera, we can hide behind Teams and turn the camera off. You may not see me. I had a recent example where I had a team member I was working with who came into the office with tears. I knew that they had been crying, but I could see them, right? So instead of talking about a project or talking about the task, I was able to say, how are you doing? What's going on? I noticed that, you're a little bit teared up, right? And we were able to talk about some very tragic things that they had just dealt with the day before, but so committed to coming to work that they came in to a meeting. I did not talk about the project. It ended up being a meeting to just share care and concern, right? So my point being with rapport, this tool and how AI meets empathy and how leaders can use it is it allows you to see me. Even if my camera's off, I can say I'm low energy. I'm
Yeah.
having a struggle today. I just lost someone, or I just found out that, I have this diagnosis or whatever it might be. It allows you to see people.
Yes. I mean, and that's so critical. And then, and the thing about it's the AI, it's the artificial intelligence meeting the human intelligence. It's
Yeah,
not some surveillance tool that's trying
yeah,
to like track everything you're doing and then aha, this person's depressed. No, like it's allowing the human being to express at the level that they feel comfortable. But then because the AI does track, you can report back later on. So it seems like almost every Tuesday, it's private to you, every Tuesday you're down. Just an observation.
wow, that's good.
See, and so now you're using that data to increase the wisdom, right?
Yeah,
And also, the one thing we were concerned about, and anybody would be concerned about, is the privacy. We
yeah.
don't want trouble for being honest. And so there's
Mhm.
a lot of things in there that, at least at a bigger level, some of this data is anonymized and aggregated. Like we're doing things to make sure that nobody feels like they were punished for being honest. Another thing that we've added to the product is, and again, it's just amazing the stuff that we would have never thought about this, but it turns out that there are a lot of resources that some of these companies have available on the books for people when they're having a hard time. Like your friend who you just talked about, maybe grieving or mourning,
Yeah,
be deep off in the employee handbook, some resource manual that says you can get, grief counseling. Ain't nobody thinking about that on any given particular day, you know.
that's
But
right.
if someone mentions that in our,
On
in
the
the
tool, yep.
then now version 2 of Rapport will actually trigger. Do you know that you can actually get grief counseling for free as an employee of this organization? So
Yep.
now resources that people are paying for and are not being used at the appropriate time, you're being reminded of. So these are the types of things that over time, the core of this enterprise rapport is just that rapport, human connection.
Yeah.
And
Love
to
that.
connect people to resources, to care, to love, to each other, we want to do because we feel like other technology is doing the opposite.
Yeah, good comments here. Someone says to Janice says, this is so smart, checking in with how people are doing. Like you said, they may be withdrawn because of a personal family issue. Someone else says, yeah, checking in before Zoom calls can start and create an experience of community and belonging because I'm being seen and heard. I keep hearing that word. People want to be seen and they want to be heard. And I think this is also a safe tool too for people to share without having to go into details. You don't have to ask them why their energy level is low, but if you want to, you can. And someone else says too, when you mentioned empathy begins with self, someone said, yep, that's a hashtag right there. Empathy begins with self. Love, love, love that. And then we had someone else too that, yeah, it's a culture shift. at a high level. We have what we call default cameras on. That's the kind of culture they have, and that's baked into our meeting guidelines. If somebody isn't feeling well, if for whatever reason, we just ask them to put on a quick note chat to say that they're keeping their camera off for whatever reason. So I think that's really good. So what we're seeing, Van, in some of these, and Mary Frances says, we have a practice of checking in and including mindfulness exercises. What we're seeing from our audience listening in is that this is a real issue, both in the office as well as in the virtual meeting space. And leaders, I'm finding there's a leadership gap, that leaders don't necessarily know how to have that conversation. They don't know how to kind of do that kind of work around connections, making connections. They're so focused on the technical and the functional part of the job, and they lose that human touch. And this is where you're saying both come together, the intelligence of the technology, but also helping humans be a little bit more human in making their connections.
Look, we often, we're tough on managers and we're tough on bosses, but people need coaching. They need help. And one of the things I think we're learning doesn't work as well as we had hoped are the trainings, standalone trainings by themselves.
Yeah.
It's out that you do these standalone trainings, people, they feel good, they learn, they get connected, they get some skills. But within a month, about 80% of what they learned is already forgotten because it's not being reinforced in the work by technology. And so, what we're trying to do is to say, what if you had a little coach on your shoulder, a little angel on your shoulder, was helping you as a manager, helping you as a boss to show up right, to getting little prompts about, okay, well, now, if this employee, is reporting consistently this set of things, consider this. Just little coaching, little nudges, just little opportunities to, oh yeah, like I've been so focused on worrying about this quarterly deadline that's coming up, the conference is coming up. I didn't really think about, oh, I could literally just take a few minutes and ask this one question and it might. So can we use technology again to make us wiser, to make us to accelerate human intelligence? That's really what we're finding is work. Great. Here's the other thing I get excited about is at a big level, the owners, the CEOs, those kind of people, they're able to really have a much better real-time view. Sometimes something will happen in the news.
Yeah.
And you don't know how it's affecting people except whoever's screaming about it in Slack. But you don't see how everybody's feeling because, now that's not saying you have to go and talk about the news, but if something happens in the news, something happens, it seems to have gotten people's attention, and you can actually see, though, for real, like the whole team is suffering. Right. Then you respond one way. Well, it turns out that some people are suffering with a smaller group. You can respond a different way. All of these things you cannot determine in a Zoom. I don't care if your camera's on or off. You cannot. Some of this stuff, this information is literally invaluable that you're able to pull out of having people just checking in a few seconds a day.
Yeah. Whew, these comments are coming in. Yes, empathy is critical in this pandemic residue to, again, increase organizational trust. Listening to both and what is being said and what's not. Intentional listening in this short attention span makes a world of difference. Love those. In the long run, these small daily reflections and nudges will bubble up and begin to transform the workplace culture. That's what the rapport tool is designed to do. It really is, I think, a very common sense, practical tool that doesn't take a lot of money, but it is intentionality and it is a commitment to making deeper and better connections. Van, in this world now where, AI is obviously very prominent, a lot of people are having to now shift and change and make, make new policies around it. What are some of the ethical considerations that leaders need to think about or keep in mind when using AI to really gauge the employee experience or the emotions?
I think, to me, the surveillance, which is becoming prominent, I'm against that. I don't think. I think you can create an atmosphere of paranoia, lack of trust.
Right.
It's about creating a situation where humans can disclose and be more human with each other. Not, well, based on the number of keystrokes per minute, we can tell you're not working. That type of stuff is not
Gone are those days, right? That's managing, not leading.
exactly. And so,
Yeah.
um, so I think, look, people often think about. I'm going to show you my nerdy self, but people often think all these tools in science fiction terms. So it's either the Jetsons. Oh, technology is gonna make everything perfect. Everybody's gonna have like a robot made and only have to work 1 minute a day and push the button one time. Or Terminator. Technology is gonna wipe everybody out. All these algorithms are gonna be racist and destroy jobs. But there are other ways to think about AI. So one is the Transformers. You have
Right.
good, bad AI. In Transformers, you have the Decepticons, and you also have the good. So are you using good AI in a good
Yeah,
way?
that's right.
So what kind of AI I think is important, and then also, is there a vision where AI can actually be used to uplift people? I love Wakanda. I love that image of Wakanda, where exactly, exactly,
Yes.
where you had people who you didn't expect to have technology, who had great technology, and who were using it for good. And so we
Right.
have the right story. It's all, look, the earth is made of stone, but the world is made of stories. What is the storyline of your
Oh,
company?
wait a minute. Say that again. That was good, man.
The
The
earth, the earth is made of stone, but
stones.
the stories.
I love that. Oh, that's good.
Change the world, change the stories. What is the storyline of your company? What
Yeah.
heroic and heroic journey that you're on as a company? And then how does that show up in every way, including in the technology? You
That's
can't you can't have a CEO with all this wonderful vision and love, and then the technology is brutal. I think right now, I think 10 years from now, you're going to look back, and after companies like Rapport have softened up and rehumanized the workplace, and you're going to look back and say, this was inhumane. Throwing rooms and Slack wars and this type of stuff. This was literally inhumane.
yeah.
We, but that's again using technology, not being used by technology. Prince was my mentor. I worked with him for 6 years, and
Uh-huh.
I don't mind you getting on the computer, but don't let the computer get on you. You know,
Right.
like there's technology can sometimes change you as opposed to using technology to change the world.
I love it. And you are changing the world with, you've been doing so many things. You're such a humanitarian, such a giver and very generous. And now we're so thrilled to have this tool and it's new. I want to say it's probably less than about 6 months old. We've been working it, tweaking it and all of that. And now you're going to be, an advocate and an ally for how we can be better leaders, how we can create cultures of belonging, connection, and inclusion, and this tool allows you to do it. I think, Van, for me, because I work with a lot of organizations, corporations, leaders who are trying to transform their culture. They do know that they have a leadership gap. They're trying to build a culture of high performance, and this is a tool. After we've taken them through the assessments and the audits and the training, this is where the application comes in. And so that's ways that, for those of you who are listening live, those are ways that you can build it. Whether you're HR, or whether you're DE&I, or whether you're general leader, line supervisor, this tool can help you to become much more connected to your staff and to get a pulse very, consistently where they are, and for you to immediately, I love your word prompts, be prompted on how you can help close that gap of people feeling somewhat disconnected, disenfranchised, or just having some real struggles and needing that level of support. Van, there's a lot more people, as they say, Van is dropping the knowledge. This is really good, Mr. Jones. They love those quotes as well. Are there some pitfalls that leaders need to think about with using AI in the workplace and the tool? I know you hit on a few of them, but what are some others that they need to think about?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think there's some nervousness about people being replaced because
Yeah,
AI, the dark side of AI or the tough side of AI is those productivity gains can result in people being laid off. I would say, don't be in such a big hurry to downsize staff based on unproven technology. Like, it's much better to think
yeah,
about the people that we have and enhance what they can do with AI so you can have a bigger market share. right? There's two ways to improve your margins. One is to cut costs. The other is to actually grow your market. And I think if you've got good people, I mean, people are hard to
Mhm.
replace. I think
That,
people are going to find out real fast. Just throw a bunch of people out the door and try to replace it with a GPT.
that's
You
right.
find out real fast that there's some intangibles that come from having human beings on your team that like each other, that like you, and believe in your mission. And so I think people should be quick to add AI, but slow to reduce humans.
Oh,
Um,
that's good.
I think that's really important, from a management and executive point of view.
Yeah, I am. I just put it in the chat for all of you as well too. You will learn more about rapport and learn more about how it all works in this new tool. It's innovative, and I think it's cutting edge, and I think it's necessary, and it's the next step from knowledge building and skill building to now application. So Van, I know you're going to be now talking a lot more about this. I know I'm going to put you out on the speaking trail to be talking about this because it's so key and critical. I love, love, love even the topic that we're talking about today and how it all meets together. Can you share with us too, if you think about some of the training and development that leaders will need in order to effectively be able to use AI and foster a greater level of empathy? What kind of training else is needed? What else training is needed out there for leaders?
Well, I think we're going through a process with DEI now, where
Mhm.
I would call it DEI 1.0 or maybe DEI 2.0. I think we've learned now that um, people need more help in the flow of work on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. You can't just do a one-time workshop or one-time training expect it to stick. Also, I think, like I said, empathy, like those two terms, I think
Mhm.
bring more people to the table. Um, everybody can learn to be empathetic. Everybody wants empathy for themselves, and everybody wants to belong.
Right.
And start with that, then it's easier to then make sure that some of the people who routinely don't have that experience are prioritizing getting that experience. So I think, the training stuff, I think will continue to evolve. But I think where I'm coming from is we may have overestimated what training can do without daily support. And that daily
Right.
support, now, if you can afford a coach, that's great, but that's still going to be once a week. And so that daily support in the flow of inside your technology stack. So your technology is conspiring to make you great. Technology is conspiring to make you more connected. Your technology is literally an angel on your shoulder, conspiring to help you um, um, stay human.
That's
Uh,
right.
what I think is missing, and I'm hoping that rapport will be, the first of many companies that come along trying to sort this out. But my first time talking about this publicly. I don't know if you know that.
I
Never.
know, and I'm thrilled about it, but you can see how much energy and passion is around the topic. And I'm glad that you've chosen to introduce it today. But it's an amazing tool, it's an amazing topic, and you've got an amazing solution to a really critical problem.
Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much.
I love that. So, as we think about AI, and it helps us to get a better understanding of the workers and their pulse, what do you think are some of the longer term benefits and trends that we need to be thinking about as we look at the integration of AI and empathy in the workplace?
Well, look, AI is a tool. It's not like I always tell people, you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by somebody who's using AI. So if you're worried about job security, is no, there's no AI that's going to come flying in. It's going to be somebody who's using the AI. And so long term, there's real reason to be concerned that there's going to be displacement of jobs. Um, the other thing about AI, which people have to keep in mind, is it gets smart by looking at the past. That's
I
it.
love that. Yes.
There's no data in the future because the future hasn't happened yet. So it's hovering up data created in the past. Well, in the past, we know everybody wasn't treated right. In the past, we know everybody's voice didn't count the same. In the past, we know even medical science wasn't focused on. There's more focused on men than women. Medical
Hmm.
more focused on people with white skin than not white skin. So a lot of the data in the past is bad. there's a lot of bad data. I mean,
That's right. Bad
this
data.
is almost new religion. Well, it showed me the data, show, as if the data is somehow from God. It's like it's new religion. No, the data people, and somebody recorded what people did, and people sometimes do bad stuff. So we have to be very careful now that we don't create a new god in AI and a new religion of data. Data is just an attempt to record what people did, and usually what people did wasn't perfect. And so we have to be very cautious. We should expect AI to be biased. We should expect AI to have blind spots
Yeah.
because because humans do. And so just because it can get to an answer in a second that would have taken us a week, that doesn't mean in that 1 second, everything that they did was perfect. So people have to understand, how are these AI models? What is the data they're trained on? So I think that's important. Also, I would say for people who come from non-traditional backgrounds, data about your community is invaluable. Data is the new vibranium, or whatever, from
Mhm.
Wakanda, gold.
Mhm.
Data, because that's really what AIs need. And so if you have uh, a special uh, data set because you're working with a population that's unusual for whatever reason, because they're elderly, because they're young, because
Yeah.
they're immigrant, whatever it is, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Take your data seriously. Figure out how you want to use that data, um, uh, in a proprietary sense. These are they're going to be surprising business models and use cases that show up because you're sitting on a big ton of data that's valuable to somebody, and you
Yeah.
may about that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's my point too, is that there's so many ways that it can be used, and you have tapped into a really critical way. And right, there's going to always be some um, issues around data, and it's going to continue to evolve. But I appreciate that you have now taken the time, built the team, and I'm thrilled and honored to be a part of the team that's really, I think, going to help transform the work that we do. And today, just in a short period of time, we have hit on everything from mental and emotional well-being to inclusion to belonging to making connections to actively listening to culture transformation to yes, data analytics, and how can we ultimately transform the ways that we work and the ways that we get work out of people. And that is humanizing it, and bringing it to the forefront so that people feel like they're seen, they're heard, they feel safe, there's trust, and that they can continue to do more work. I think it contributes to not only, higher engagement, better, feeling of well-being and health and wellness, but also it contributes to retention. And I think all of us can agree we need that as well. Someone says on here, we need a culture revolution. And I think that rapport will help us to do that. So tell us where we can find out more. I had it in the chat box. I'll put it in there again, where we can find you. And look, I know you're going to be speaking about it. So if you are out there and your conference or organization is looking for Van to come in and talk more about this, I mean, he's ready to do it now. This is a tool that we were thrilled to now introduce to the public. You're some of the first ones to hear about it. And then certainly, Van, if you can tell us how they can even get a free demonstration to their leaders inside of their organizations, tell us how we can do that.
Well, I think you put it in the chat.
Yes.
That's the best way to do it. But we're now, look, we have a small handful of companies that love what we've done, and now looking for some companies to really pioneer the next version with, because now we have version 2, and version 1 was bad, but version 2 is real. I mean, it's stunning what we can
And
do.
the young people say it's sick. It is sick. It looks great. It's wonderful.
uh,
Yeah, we got someone here say they would love to support the rollout. Hey, get it in front of your leaders, get it in front of your decision makers, get it in front of your HR leaders, because it would be a tool that would really help leaders in their development and coaching, and it'll help the employees and the workers in their employee experience and enhancing it. So these are ways to use it. I see a lot of consultants on here as well. Look, y'all need to add this part of rapport into some of the solutions that you provide as well by partnering with rapport. So I appreciate that. And we're just about done. I know that you've got to run because you are so busy, but is there anything last thing that you would like for people to know, whether it's about empathy, leadership, culture transformation, and rapport and the work that you're doing?
I just think that the human will win. Um,
I love it.
win. And we really do. Anybody who is inspired by what we're saying, reach out to us. We're trying to build with the word revolution,
Yeah,
revive, renaissance. We're trying to really use
yeah.
technology for good. And we're looking for partners. We're looking for clients. We're looking for customers. We're looking for partners. Reach out to us and let's do some stuff together.
I love it. Link in with Van. He's on LinkedIn. He's on Instagram. Link in with me. And many of you know about all of my courses on LinkedIn. I talk about empathy a lot, talk about leadership. And that's why it made so much great sense to have me and Van working on this together and helping to lead this. Van, I'm so proud of you. So excited to have you. Thank you again. You're such a wonderful, wonderful leader. And we continue to support you in all ways. And everyone is sending you high fives, kudos, and all the love. So thanks again for what you do. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you now. It's an honor to work
Take
with you.
care. All righty. Bye-bye.